Go. Ship of Faith, Chapter 5, Into the Fog. Last time, the captain was looking at this eagle that was up on the main mast. The fiddler began playing, and the men clapped their hands and stamped their feet in unison. The twang of the bow dancing across the strings reverberated across the silent waters, interrupting any stillness left over from the night's festivities. Oblivious to the commotion on the deck, the captain raised his voice to explain himself. After observing the eagle catch its dinner, he headed off in a northeast direction. Since it was a golden eagle, its range of territory is only 60 square miles. What does that tell you, navigator? Well, that more than likely there's land within 60 miles, maybe in the northeast direction, sir? The navigator eagerly replied. Correct. And that is why I want you to take a sighting right now. But sir, it's still dark. I won't be able to see the horizon. Navigator, I don't want you to use the sextant. I want you to use the theodolite. The navigator gave the captain a puzzled look and questioned his remark. Sir, the theodolite is used for land surveying, not for sea. It has a spirit level, and that means you need a solid base, not the shifting seas. A confident smile came across the captain's face. He was hoping to convince the navigator that his idea was going to work. Navigator, have you ever seen the sea this calm? Now, get that theodolite out. We only have a small window of opportunity. Still not certain what the captain wanted him to do with the theodolite instrument, he questioned him a second time. Sir, where specifically am I going to get the angles from? Displeased and irritated with the navigator's hesitancy, the captain scolded him. Don't but sir me one more time, and you'll be swabbing the deck with the bosun. Okay, all right, sir captain. Without pause, the navigator got up and whispered something into the cabin boy's ears as they both went off to the quarterdeck. Excuse me for asking, sir, but what's a what's-its? I've never heard of one before. Oh, the navigator said, the theodolite is a precision instrument with a telescopic sight for establishing horizontal and sometimes vertical angles usually used in surveying land. It is not that I know of ever used at sea. I have to admit, this is the first time I've heard of this type of usage. That's why I questioned the captain. Within the instrument, there is a spirit level. It's a bubble that's designed to move, indicating whether the surface is horizontal or vertical. This allows you to focus on an object in the distance when you want to know in its direction and its distance away. Next, you take a reading of something you know the distance to and the height of, such as the main mast, for example. By calculating the angle and distance, you get the same position on deck, making sure the spirit is level again. Then, using trigonometry, one can figure out through the calculations what the unknown distance will be. Will no longer could contain his curiosity. His eyes widened as he watched the navigator remove the instrument from the closet. He had never seen anything like it before. Before he realized it, words were falling from his mouth. Sir, I want to learn how to use this what's-its. Can you teach me? Well, first of all, Will, you need to learn what the instrument is called. It's a theodolite, from the Greek word theo, which means God, and dolite, which means to behold, or to look attentively upon, so you can see it clearly. The navigator placed the heavy brass instrument on the table and began gently wiping it down with an oilcloth. The cabin boy stepped a little closer to the table and continued questioning the navigator. Does that mean this instrument can find God? Well, you are a clever young man. I believe your queries are profound. You ask very thoughtful questions which will help you to grow in wisdom. And For this reason, I know you will find what your heart is searching for. However, right now, I don't think we are going to find God tonight. I do know if we don't get to the captain with this instrument soon, we both will be squabbing the deck. Meanwhile, the boatswain had other schemes looming in the shadows. He waited for the tail weaver at the stern of the boat. And as the tail weaver went looking for more biscuits for the officers, he found himself instead dragged by the scuff of his neck into the shadows. The boatswain pulled him so close the tail weaver could smell his foul breath. By now the boatswain was seething and his words were sputtering. Do you know who that rat is who's squeaking about to the captain about all the chatter on board? Don't lie, tell me, you had better know. The tail weaver trembled in fear and mumbled, Well, it's not me, sir. I would never betray my brothers. It's that new cabin boy. He spends equal time with the crew, and then he goes off and tells the officers everything he's heard. I've seen him with my own eyes. Look over there. See, he's whispering something into the navigator's ears right now. The boatswain pushed him away and let him go of the tail weaver's throat. Well, he said, it's time to teach that loudmouth boy a lesson on squealing. See to it that someone takes care of him as soon as possible before any more of our dealings are found out. Meanwhile, back on the quarterdeck, the navigator and the cabin boy carefully secured the theodolite onto a small table. When the cabin boy saw the captain returning, he whispered to the navigator that he was coming. The navigator stood at attention and said, Sir, we're all set to measure. What do you want me to look for first? Well, said the captain, see that dot of light on the horizon in the northeast direction? Perplexed, the navigator strained, but he could not see any light. He said, No, sir. Sorry, sir, my eyes were never as good as yours. Well, that is why you have the theodolite. Now look through the lens at the horizon until you see that dot of light. Struggling to find the light, he was determined to locate it. He continued surveying the horizon of the northeast direction, squinting and straining, until finally he saw a faint dot of light in the far-off distance. I see it, sir. You were right. It's right there. Now have the boy write down the coordinates that you see when I give the word, the captain replied with a chuckle. The navigator sighted the crossbeam of the mainmast and stopped to see something very strange. A shiver ran down his spine, and his mouth fell open and caused him to pause for a moment. Directly behind the crossbeam was an intense white light radiating from a star that sent particles of dust beams out in every direction. This was the exact crossbeam where the first mate had died, saving the crew. Suddenly he remembered the question Will had asked earlier. Can this instrument help find God? Navigator, what's the delay? Do you or do you not see the light? With a quick hand motion, the captain pointed out in the direction of the light. When you have all the calculations, bring them to my cabin, navigator. We don't have much time. The navigator cleared his throat, continued the calculations, and the distance to that dot of light. Will wrote down everything in the logbook and handed it to the navigator. Thank you, Will. You've been a tremendous help tonight. Now, you're free to go and finish the rest of your chores. Grabbing the broom, the cabin boy inhaled deeply and began sweeping the deck, knowing he had still more work ahead of him before retiring for the night. Weary from the evening's activities, the navigator closed his logbook and sat down on the deck under the stars. The night dew clung to the sails, making them glisten in the moonlight. As a warm breeze blew through his hair, after moving the lantern a little closer, he pulled his Bible from his coat pocket and he began his night devotions. Opening to the book of Isaiah, he read, I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness and will hold you in my hand. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, as a light to the Gentiles, to open their blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness from the present house. I am the Lord, that is my name. In my glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved images. Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I will declare. Before they spring up, I will tell you of them. The word leapt off the page. Excitement filled the thoughts as he started a conversation with God. The captain did say things are going to change. I believe what he said is true. This is going to change everything. What I don't understand, Lord, is how a small dot of light on the horizon is going to really change anything at all. I really can't even see. The navigator continued reading from Isaiah. I will bring the blind by a way they did not know. I will lead them in paths they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and the crooked places straight. These things will I do for them, and not forsake them. Yes, that's it, Lord. The answer is, I can't see it, yet you will show me the way. So that is the way it is with blind faith. Meanwhile, Will sighed a breath of relief as he finished cleaning up the officer's table. Looking around, the stillness of the early morning felt a little bit unsettling. Most of the crew had already gone below deck. Any sleep is better than no sleep, he thought to himself, and he headed towards the steps of the forecastle. Not wanting to wake any of the men, he left his lantern unlit. Brightness from the fading moon cast just enough light for Will to make his way down the stairs below. The rest of the way he knew by heart, even with his eyes closed. Enveloped in darkness, he felt something strike the back of his leg, and with a thud, he fell to the floor and lost consciousness. In the shadows, behind the stairs, a dark figure snarled. That ought to do it. Unaware of his surroundings, the cabin boy envisioned himself walking through a thick cloud with tiny droplets suspended in the atmosphere toward a beautiful white light on the horizon. And suddenly a loud, clear voice rang out. Not yet, my son. No, don't move him. Let me set the bone first. Then you can move him to the sick bay, said the ship's surgeon. When the surgeon finished, the cabin boy was tied down on a wooden plank and lifted through the small opening of the forecastle entrance and back on deck. He could feel the cool, damp air against his skin, and it jolted him awake. Unaware of his surroundings, he opened his eyes to see the thick fog exactly like in his dream. But there was a sharp pain in his left leg that told him otherwise. It's questionable he slipped off the steps. It was such a calm night, said the navigator, with a look of concern and doubt. The captain retorted, think it not strange concerning the fiery trials which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened. Are you saying that for a reason, Captain? Are you still questioning me, navigator? Don't worry. You won't be scrubbing the deck. Your job has kept us on course, even though we can't see anything through this thick fog. And the fog was accompanied by a strong southeast wind moving them in the northeast direction. The dot of light on the horizon that was seen through the theodolite earlier was now only a memory. Instead, the navigator would need to monitor the wind to calculate the distance the ship had covered. Blind faith, he chuckled to himself. What do you have for us now, God? As he stared off into the distance, seeing nothing but fog. Eye has not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the hearts of men the things which God has prepared for them that loved him. Amen. Sometimes we get to those places in life when we can't see clearly what God's plan is for our life. This may be one of those times. We may not know or understand how such things as sicknesses, accidents, violence, or even this COVID-19 could possibly be allowed by God. How often have you asked or heard a person question, how can a loving God allows such terrible things to occur. Yet, in the fog, we need to remember that there is light. We have caught a glimpse of it before, and our faith reminds us that it is still there, although we cannot see it. Even still, we know the answer is out there. It is yet ahead of us if we stay on course. Why? Because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things we do not see. Amen.